I am on a mission to find out more about the business landscape in Lincolnshire.
People probably hear about devolution getting kicked about quite a bit as a term. So far, we're the only mayoral authority under Reform UK. People like me in their ear trying to persuade them to kind of target that money at particular known needs in things like work readiness and preparedness, digital skills, net zero skills, all of that kind of thing.
Do you think there's a risk that smaller sectors will get left behind?
They get their own allocation of £24 million a year.
It wasn't a huge turnout, was it? I was speaking with Carl McCartney at an event.
Just name dropping, yeah.
Yeah. Carl, if you want to come on the podcast, you're more than welcome to. What have you been up to today?
It's only, 3:30 and it's already been pretty busy. So about 12 hours ago, I was still awake looking at who'd won the Greater Lincolnshire mayoral election race.
Yeah.
A few more hours sleep, and then this morning I was doing kind of media responses to all of that. What's it mean for Lincolnshire's businesses, doing congratulations to the winner, commiserations to those who didn't make the seat. Now I'm here with you doing... What are we doing? What is it?
This is, I'm glad you asked, the pilot episode of the Lincolnshire Business Podcast. So I was saying this to you earlier. This is something that I've wanted to do for about 18 months. I made the artwork about 18 months ago. It got kept getting put to the bottom of the pile. Obviously, filming podcasts are expensive. To have podcasts that look as good as this are expensive. I want to say thanks now, and I wasn't planning on doing this now, but the reason we're able to do the podcast right now in this format as a pilot is that Dealer Media have given us it for free. So we're here with them. Thank you very much. A bit about Dealer. So they do interviews and, kind of cinematic podcasts like this. So I did a podcast before with Ed, and they're kind of pivoting the business to really just helping clients with conversations like this that convert. So through like interviews and podcasts, they've kindly let us do this for free because they know that I've been itching to do it for a while, and I'm sure he knows that it's going to get some cash out of me very soon. So here's the pilot.
Long-term strategies for both of you.
Pretty much. But in terms of, okay, what actually is it? So I obviously own businesses in Lincoln. So I own a creative agency. I also own a shop. I am on a mission to find out more about the business landscape in Lincolnshire. So to understand not just in Lincoln what's going on, but across the county. And I think it's a really big county. There's so much here from, obviously like Business Lincolnshire for Lincolnshire's support in Lincoln through to like, think about Holbeach and the Food Valley. So there's everything from, tractors to tech and industry and the defence cluster in Lincoln. Lincolnshire, and it's trying to understand that. So I'm on a mission to understand it more, but at the same time, tell other people who also, like me, kind of probably live in a bubble and don't get themselves out there, don't understand it. And also, like, for a lot of it kind of just got wool over their eyes, or for some of it, just don't care. Like, you hear about it, cool, that's fine, I'm in my own lane. So this is, for people like me who think, actually, let me try and understand it a bit more and try and kind of broaden the horizons and see where our businesses fit in the local economy and, kind of help us understand more. Yeah. So that's why you're on, because like you're saying...
Is this where you flatter me? Go on.
It was election day.
Yeah.
What happened?
So for those that are the uninitiated, so this is wider than just the business environment landscape. So about 18 months ago, at the 2023 budget, it was a long-term plan sort of came to fruition. So Greater Lincolnshire finally got kind of the green light to go ahead and make a plan to become a devolved administration. So people probably hear about devolution getting kicked about quite a bit as a term. It can probably seem a bit meaningless. It's got a lot of meaning to it. It's also got a lot of money attached to it as well, which is where the interest comes in. So this was basically giving Lincolnshire permission to kind of break away from national centralised governmental schemes, I suppose, really, to devolve money, localised targeting of local needs under the authority of a mayor. Now, we didn't have to have a mayor. There was lots of shapes and formats that you can have a kind of devolved administration. We're now, I think, the 11th across England that's kind of got this devolved shape. but we have chosen to have a mayor. And just yesterday was our election, 1st of May 2025. We finally got to have an election to choose the party who will take on that mantle of leading Lincolnshire's devolution, the first ever term of us being a devolved area, and target those local needs with £24 million a year at the very minimum. So we are coming right off the back of the election. We know who our mayor is. Just in the last hour, I think we'll find out who's taken the county councillor seats as well. So we are right fresh out of the mire of a very long-term campaign.
Cool. And so who won? Who was up? Who won?
So there were 6 mayoral candidates that were representing most of the national parties that you will all have heard of. So Conservative, Labour, the Greens, Lib Dem, Reform and the Independents. We had one Reform independent candidate here that stood as well. So it was a very tough race. It's been quite a tough race for those that, particularly I would say 3 of them that it looked likely who could take it. But in the end, Dame Andrea Jenkins of Reform UK took it. We are so far, because other areas in England are having their votes today as well. So far, we're the only mayoral authority under Reform UK.
Right. Okay. And in terms of the kind of power that comes along that, then with that, what authority will she have?
So there's quite a few things that will be under the kind of mayor's powers. Now, some of it might be for that mayor and the new authority that will kind of like underpin their role, sit under their seat, I suppose, to kind of work out as they go. But there is a plan. Everyone watching this will be relieved to know there is a very strategic plan about what they will be responsible for, what money they will have to spend, how they need to be expected to go after more money. So a few things that affect particularly the business environment is business support, helping more businesses to start up, to grow, to diversify, to thrive. Because of course, along with that comes jobs, comes wealth creation, comes, a rise in productivity. And prosperity for the whole area. Skills will be another big area they're responsible for, and that's really, really critical for Greater Lincolnshire. We're sadly we're not a high earning area. We're not a place of high attainment for skills, and that holds us back as an area. Not just when you're looking at this as a kind of like dry academic topic. That this is people's lives, it's their livelihoods. If people are, better qualified, better paid, they live hopefully happier, longer, healthier lives in a very beautiful place. But we need more people to be attaining more skills in some cutting edge areas like clean energy, like defence, all of that kind of thing. So they'll be responsible for kind of taking on particularly the adult education. So pre-16 education, obviously that's set by the national curriculum. The sort of adult education, particularly sort of after 16, definitely after 19, they will hold the budget for adult education across Greater Lincolnshire. Okay. And with people like me in their ear, because I run the local skills improvement plan. You knew that'd come up, didn't you? Never missed the chance to get that in.
For sure.
But I have people like me in their ear trying to persuade them to kind of target that money at particular known needs in things like work readiness and preparedness, digital skills, net zero skills, all of that kind of thing. So I'll be responsible for that. There's other things that come along with it that are not strictly business agenda items, but they are certainly important to the local economy, things like infrastructure development. So some of that's about moving people around, some of it's about moving goods around, some of it's about moving information, ideas. I think it was put in the original plan, it was about moving goods, people and ideas around. And obviously if we've got better roads, better infrastructure, better connectivity with the rest of the country and digital connectivity, that's really important for the area's businesses. They'll have kind of infrastructure development under their portfolio. Things like health, crime will also come under it as well, care. So some pretty big chunky agenda items, but obviously the one I'm most interested in is business skills and infrastructure.
Okay, so can we talk about like devolution in general then? We'll kind of circle back to that because that's where all of this stems from. So initially, why? What was the conversation around devolution and why did Lincolnshire go for it? So
it probably goes back maybe 10, 20 years, you could probably say it started a little bit under the Blair administration, essentially, where obviously Wales, Northern Ireland and Scotland were given kind of permission again to break away from being governed from Westminster. Because why should they? Why should someone in Westminster be making decisions about Belfast or Antrim or Aberdeen or Carmarthen when they don't live there, don't know the local area, don't know the people, don't know the economy, don't know the landscape. So it was to give better localised decision making and, more importantly, the money that would go along with that to help people deliver localised schemes. But then that was sort of national devolution. When you look underneath that as well, there's even finer need to target local needs at kind of county level, I suppose. So there was an attempt a few years ago for Lincolnshire to become a devolved authority. So that was basically an agreement between North East Lincolnshire Council, North Lincolnshire Council and the County Council. Did get an agreement together, but the plan kind of fell at a hurdle. Yeah. And then when the devolution really started to get some momentum with other areas, so Greater Manchester, the West Midlands, London, especially, these are all areas that have had particular success of being a devolved administration. So if you think back into COVID, when Andy Burnham, who's Mayor of Manchester, was individually, personally standing up for all the businesses to get better support when we're in lockdown, that kind of set a precedent for this is what someone who really lives in the area, cares about the area, knows the area can do to fight or to fight for people and businesses and learners and all of that in their area. So there was kind of a bit of momentum getting behind devolution, and when the chance came again, we went for it, and the plan didn't fall at hurdle this time. It went through, the agreements went through.
So in terms of that chance, what is it, almost like the council have to like almost tender for it? Like how does
kind of work? You have to convince many secretaries of state that Lincolnshire's in a place to kind of strategically deliver what it says it wants to set out to. It's capable of having the money, spending the money, targeting it, that we've got particular known needs that can only be targeted locally. So like you said, Lincolnshire's big area. It's a huge area. It's hugely diverse. It's 6 times the size of the Greater Manchester area, 3 times the size of Birmingham, but with approximately the same population. 10 times as cool, but with approximately the same population. So you're looking at a very big area, but with quite a dispersed population, but with some extremely nationally significant sectors, things like defence, health, tourism, agri-tech. This is a place of real innovation. And I think devolution was the chance to kind of break away, target, get the right amount of money to be able to celebrate those things, get them on the national agenda, support them locally, and get Lincolnshire known as somewhere where these cutting edge things happen. So it's about getting money and local targeting of needs, really.
Do you think there's a risk? Obviously, that's where the money's going to be, naturally funneled, because they're almost our star sectors. And this comes just from it was an event ran by the LEP probably a year ago where they talked quite heavily about agri-tech. Yeah. Do you think there's a risk that smaller sectors will get left behind because the money won't be almost funneled there to push those sectors because they're not vitally important, or what sets the county apart? Is there a risk there that potentially smaller businesses will get left behind because they're not in those sectors?
Yeah, on paper, I think you could say that, but I think the whole point of devolution is so that doesn't happen. You've got local people making local decisions about and knowing about those smaller or emerging sectors, going, right, don't neglect that now, because in 5 years, that's going to be one of the big, chunky, 8, 9, 10 significant sectors that we might have. So I think it's the counter to that, actually. I think it gives us more chance to celebrate and support those emerging sectors and the businesses within them, rather than someone down in Westminster going, I don't know, defence seems important up there, here's a load of money towards that. Now, great, we still want that, but like you said, there's other emerging and smaller sectors that need support as well, and I think that gives us the chance to do that.
Okay, so we put in the devolution bid or application, and that's kind of obviously went through.
Yep.
What was the kind of overriding needs then of the county that helped it go through? Like what were we lacking, and what did we argue that this is the only way we can go ahead? Is devolution is great for us because X, Y, and Z. What did we need that we're missing out?
So there's 10 kind of big commandments. The 10 commandments. It's actually, funny enough, I've got our stone tablet here. So
here's one I prepared.
Earlier. So when we got basically the green light permission to become a devolved authority, this was the kind of plan that the now formed combined county authority, it only formed a few weeks ago. It's now the mayoral authority.
Yeah, because obviously, in Lincoln, we had different councils. So have they all been merged into one?
No, they still exist.
Okay.
Yeah. So you've now got and this is, I think, where some of the criticism from people that are probably not as involved in this as I am, because why would you be, that you think it's just another layer of government. It's why I'm here. It's why I'm here to bore people. It is admittedly probably another layer of administration, another layer of government. Now, a very important one. It's not to be dismissed because, it's just another level of politics. It is really important. But no, we've now got the county combined authority, kind of maybe a sort of umbrella authority with the mayor kind of heading that. They're not the only person that gets to make decisions in there. They'll be supported by lots of boards and advisors and councillors who have real specialities in this, and council officers who have even more experience and expertise. So they kind of sit above all the other authorities. I suppose you've still got the 3 upper tier councils, which is Lincolnshire County Council, North Lincolnshire Council and North East Lincolnshire Council.
Right.
So they all have different responsibilities for delivering different things. So if you think about kind of strataing it up, you'll have the combined authority looking after skills, infrastructure, housing, that kind of thing. Underneath there, you've got county councils looking after things like education, like primary and secondary education, some roads and things like that. Then underneath it, you've still got your district councils. Okay. So in Lincolnshire, we've got 11, 7 particularly in the traditional Lincolnshire area as well. So Boston Borough, South Collins, all of them. I'm not going to name them all because people know where they live. Then under that, you still get then town and parish councils as well.
Right.
So it is a complex layering of government.
In terms of how money travels between those, now that devolution's happened, does it kind of get funneled through the top and then drip down, or does it still go directly to those? Some
things will still go directly. The combined authority that the mayor will now head up, they get their own allocation of £24 million a year.
And is that in addition to what they had before?
Well, it didn't exist before. Right. So this is entirely new money coming to the council. So it's not a kind of rejigging and kind of reallocation of money. It's entirely new money that we wouldn't have got before. So that's where it can be targeted on skills, infrastructure, housing, all of that kind of thing. Is it real money? So, and what I mean by that is, for instance, with the Brexit vote, where they said that, there'd be X amount of millions a week that we could now funnel into this, that's kind of like wasn't really real money. Yeah, it's not hypothetical.
Is this like actual real money that wouldn't have come here at all before?
Real cash that would not have come our way, and that's the bare minimum that we'll have as well. So the whole point of a mayor is really, yes, to spend that money wisely and make the right decisions locally, but also to be a very, very, very strong local advocate for the area, like Andy Burnham is, like West Street has been, like Sadiq Khan has been, and others across the area, Claire Harris over in the East Midlands, to be a strong advocate, to campaign for more money. Yeah,
okay. And to pull us back then to the almost 10 commandments of the original proposal.
Yeah.
So where is this cash going to be? Where's it going to go?
Yeah, so do you want me to take you through the 10? Just as headlines. So infrastructure, which supports the movement of people, goods and ideas. So, I actually remembered that from earlier.
And what does that mean?
So it's things like better connectivity with trains. We've got like a couple of miles of motorway in Lincolnshire. We've got a bit of the M180, that's it. We know we need far better connectivity between the trains and the roads.
I was having this conversation with somebody, I can't remember.
A real life friend?
No, I think I was at the shop, and there was a tourist. I said, Lincoln's great. It's just really difficult to travel around Lincolnshire. It's really difficult to get onto a motorway. You have to drive 40 minutes before you're on a motorway to get anywhere. So, it's difficult to get here, but that's also one of the huge draws for people that live here, is they like the kind of balance of, we're not too far away from towns or cities, but also it's peace and quiet. Yeah,
well, the best thing about living somewhere shouldn't be how easy it is to get out of it. I think probably that's not the best sell. But, to move goods around, to get, stock sent around, to get things moved efficiently, cheaply, and to get people around as well, so that they can, if you're under 17 and you don't drive, if you're under 21 but you can drive but you can't afford a car, because who can when you're that age, that limits where you learn, where you might do an apprenticeship, what kind of shifts you can do, what kind of jobs you can do. So this isn't just about getting loads of motorway put in just for the sake of it. Moving people around is strategically really important, so that they can underpin all the other stuff I said about, leading long, prosperous lives, so that they can learn better, get higher paying jobs. All of that stuff is really important. But at the moment, it is challenging. So we'll have initially some things they've set out is kind of better connectivity between Lincoln and Nottingham on the trains, to making sure there's, hopefully, this is not an overnight thing, but linking up Cleethorpes and Grimsby with the London main line and over to Manchester as well. So it's easier to move cross country and up and down, because obviously these are some major cities and we want business people to be able to travel to the area, spot places here that are great to invest in, and vice versa, to be able to send our people out to learn, to prosper, and for tourism as well, like you said.
So the kind of, almost bullet points under this then. So what's it going to, like bus and trains? Yeah,
so kind of subsidising bus companies as well, to make sure that they can stay in business, they can still actually provide services that are in any way profitable. And if they're not profitable, that they are subsidised, because there's the greater need, like I say, to move people around. So that's where we'll have some money to sort of target on infrastructure that moves people around. Next one, and that links very closely to transport services, and again, because of the strong business need to be able to get people in and out of Lincolnshire, and goods and stock and all of that kind of thing, because if we're sending up people up and down the A15 and the A17 where it's slow, a bit potholy, and you're getting stuck behind a lot of tractors, that's not the most productive and cost-effective way of moving stuff around.
So driving to Grimsby a couple of days ago, and I got stuck. You normally get stuck behind buses on the way to Grimsby, right? And you're going like 45, 50 miles an hour, but then I was stuck behind a bus that was stuck behind like a escort vehicle that was carrying like 2 caravans.
Wide load, was it?
Yeah, it was really like ridiculously long. So that's something I can resonate with. What else do we have?
So you've got investing in high quality homes and communities. So that's about making sure that we've got, Lincolnshire's become over the last few years a very, very attractive place to come and work. You just said it's nice and peaceful and quiet. We've got relatively low crime, beautiful scenery. We're not too far from the coast. As much as we do talk about, it's not far from everywhere. Realistically, we could be attracting a lot more people to come and either live, work here, or take holidays here and hopefully want to stay. And people that come to university here as well want more people to be able to stay here, make sure people live long lives.
That's a big thing for me personally, that like I want to see Lincoln transition into somewhere that retains students. Because it's good for population growth in general. It helps drive the economy, but also as somebody who's I'm still classing myself as young, and I still will for a while. I don't know when I put my bio on like events and stuff. It's like, am I still a young entrepreneur? I'm not sure. But I want to see Lincoln transition, further towards that demographic, because I think the university has been great for the city in general.
Massively.
So now we need to make the city great for the students who have come here, learnt here, because then we need them to stay and directly benefit our economy and help grow it.
The city, but obviously the wider county as well. Lincolnshire isn't just Lincoln. Lincoln's already, I think it's the second youngest city by demographic in the East Midlands. So we're not doing bad. And obviously the fact we've got a city centre campus, 2 universities in the city, does help bring that age demographic down a little bit. What we want is for more of those people to stay.
For sure.
To bring all of those, skills out of university, out of college, embed here, stay here, build a life here, build a family here, and the whole process starts again. But we need more homes for those people, and we've got a lot of ageing housing stock in the county as well. So it's either about replacing that or retrofitting.
Is there anything in this proposal about putting money there?
Absolutely. I'd say it's there as a priority. So it's about kind of like targeting the right sort of land that's ready to be redeveloped, making sure that the local supply, so local building firms get the chance to kind of develop those. We're not getting just loads of national providers coming in and sweeping all of that work away. So there's good stuff there. The next sort of chunky ones are really about that skills element. So how it's been phrased here, raising awareness, inspiration, and access to support to our residents to train and upskill for the job they want, which is really important. Not just we want more people working, in this particular sector. This is about the jobs they want. And Lincolnshire is full of jobs. We've got whopping occupational gaps in some areas. We've got, the north of the county where we're going to have a free port, huge amounts of infrastructure development going on, a seat of clean energy, cybersecurity, defence, all of that stuff. We've got really, really exciting opportunities here. We need to make sure that people know about them, are able to train for them, and are able to get those jobs, and that they're jobs that they want to do. So that's where they'll be sort of targeting some money as well, and it links very close with building skills capacity for the future, and that's wider than just kind of trying to direct people to long-term careers. This is about building aspiration, making sure people are fit for work, they've got the right training for whatever needs they might have. They will own the adult education budget. I think it's actually now called the Adult Skills Fund. It's changed name recently. Yeah, you know that well.
I heard that.
You knew that.
Well, I tended for the to do the design on the job that you have, the skills.
Oh, yeah, there's the...
I do actually know about that.
Yes, you
I didn't get the tender.
We'll talk about that later.
It's too expensive.
We'll talk about it. Surprise, surprise. So yeah, the mayor will kind of have responsibility for owning that sort of the adult education budget and making sure that is targeted towards local needs. And we know there's big need to get people work ready.
Yeah.
So employability skills, interview skills, CV skills, all of that really, really fundamental stuff. They will have new money and the responsibility to kind of spend that in a way that makes sense locally.
Yeah.
And then this is the interesting one. This is where we might have a bit of tension between the plans set out, 18 months ago, and who's come into office as of today.
Okay.
So this is sort of priority.
To try and get her on the podcast, and she can.
I'm sure she will. I'll put in a word for you. Investing to achieve net zero to drive productivity and grow jobs.
Yeah, because Reform haven't been huge on net zero, have they?
They're not big fans.
Yeah.
No. Do you want me to tell you how it's voiced in the manifesto? Found it. No to net zero madness.
Right. So that then
we've got a between these two documents, 18 months apart.
I can see how the friction might potentially come about.
Yeah, there may be a lot of tension between that.
So, and again, I'm sure we will carry this podcast on. If we could get Andrea on the podcast, so we won't kind of
speak for her. No, absolutely not.
What do you think she means by that in general, and how does that affect the county?
Yeah, so there's a few things in the county. So one, we're a very rural area.
Yeah.
Parts of it very low lying, very prone to flooding. We've got coastal. We've got 50 miles of coastline.
Yeah.
There's some parts of it facing erosion. Lots of challenges just around water management. And actually, that's something. Water as an asset is something that the new combined authority wants to manage rather than kind of be a victim of, I suppose. We, like you say, have a lot of fields. We have a lot of it's really important that the climate is protected because 30% of the UK's food is either grown here or processed here. So our fields need to be in the best possible ship-shop shape to be able to keep the country fed.
For sure.
And all of that links to what science knows is a change in climate.
Yeah.
And then another factor is up in the north of the county, so that we share half of the Humber region, our side of the Humber, and then Hull and East Yorkshire share to the side. That is a nationally strategic, really important area for productivity, for clean energy, for manufacturing. Lots and lots of very exciting things happening up there. But as an area, it's the single biggest carbon emitting area in the UK. So there's vast plans to decarbonise that on an industrial scale. That work's already in train to help the nation meet net zero targets for 2050.
Right.
So knowing that work's already in train, it's a strategic priority for the businesses, for local authorities, for anyone kind of involved in that. And then now we have a mayor in place who's saying no to the net zero madness.
Okay.
And I think she feels that it's kind of spending money. I mean, again, she'll speak for herself, absolutely. I think how it's put here, no to net zero madness, protecting jobs, cutting bills, common sense, energy policies.
Okay.
And it's voiced here about kind of trying to counteract some of Ed Miliband's. I oppose Ed Miliband's unrealistic net zero targets and will instead protect our flood defences, strengthen food and energy security, and ensure our stunning countryside isn't marred by endless pylons.
Okay.
So, it's hard to argue with
the
that.
NIMBY logic, I guess.
Yeah, it's hard to argue with that at all. But it's the kind of where the view might challenge the well-established policy at a local and national level. We may see a little bit of tension.
Is it a problem? Like if that's what people have voted for?
Well, the fine people of Lincolnshire have made their choice, haven't they?
Because that's something else. I think we can maybe then sort of segue into something else I wanted to talk about, which was the vote in general, because it wasn't a huge turnout, was it?
No, local authority. So this wasn't just mayoral authority. This was council elections as well. So there were 23 councils all across England, 6 mayoral authorities voting or re-voting for their mayor as well. So this isn't unique to Lincolnshire. We've got some uniqueness about us now, I would say.
Yeah.
But council elections never have huge turnout. This isn't a general election. General elections don't even have a huge turnout these days. So of the 1.1 million people in Greater Lincolnshire, about 830,000 of them, I think, were eligible to vote.
Yeah.
Only 30% of those eligible people turned out yesterday between 7 a.m. and 10 p.m. to vote.
Yeah, and what percentage did Andrea get?
Won 42% of the vote. So the polls last week were saying she'd get about 40%. Labour would follow it. Conservatives would follow with about 30%, and Labour and all the others would follow in smaller proportions thereafter. So she actually won by slightly more. So I mean, it's been well commented on.
It's quite a chunk, isn't it?
It's a huge chunk because it is it is a landslide. It's been described as such in the media today. It is a landslide, and obviously there's other parts of the country that have been. Reform UK have won a huge number of council seats overnight, a huge amount.
Yeah,
we are the only area that's voted for a Reform UK mayor. So we do have some uniqueness about us. And so just recently they've taken, I think as of now, whatever time it is now, Reform have taken 3 county councils. Ours is one of them.
Right.
But we're the only one that's got both.
So it seems more momentum for Reform.
It's huge. It's a huge amount of momentum. Now there's like every argument to say, is it a protest vote? Now I think that would patronise the people of Lincolnshire. They know what they're voting for. Hopefully they've read all of this that landed on their doorstep and all the other information that's bandied around. I don't think personally there's been huge awareness of what a mayor is for.
Yeah.
What they will be responsible for. They cannot tackle national immigration policies or national net zero policies at this level. This is very much about local need. But 104,000 people voted yesterday for Reform, and I'm sure they did their research and knew what they were voted for and put their faith there. So it's very clear. Both Conservative and Labour have said they get it. They've had a tough night when all the votes have been counted. They're taking it as kind of a protest vote, but I think that might be slightly patronising.
And again, I don't know if this was polling or just my mate Barry down the pub told me, but when the Tories looking quite good in this?
For Lincolnshire?
Yeah.
They were originally, and usually Lincolnshire has traditionally been a fairly conservative area.
Yeah.
So right now we have mostly Conservative MPs. One here in Lincoln. In Lincoln is a Labour seat, and Skegness and Boston is a Reform seat already. Yeah. So in the national general election last year, we already had a slight change of colour.
Yeah, across
the county, but the Conservatives typically do very, very well in Lincolnshire. Yeah. And a few weeks ago, when people were asking me what do you think the outcome will be, my bet was on it would be Rob Waltham of the Conservatives that would take their vote. But the campaign that they fought has obviously really cut through to the people that they wanted it to cut through to. So
and then how, in terms of running for this, how did we end up with the candidates that we ended up with? Because I was speaking with Carl McCartney at an event.
Just name dropping, yeah.
Yeah, Carl, if you want to come on the podcast, you're more than welcome to. Send him a text.
Thompson some cake. He likes cake, does Carl?
Yeah, so I was speaking with him, and he was saying, that he was running for it. It was a good opportunity. It's something he was really excited about. So I'm, again, as somebody who had that conversation, then has had conversation with you in general about devolution, and then it's kind of me putting all the pieces together. So how did we go from that to this? How
so it's basically a kind of go? I suppose, I'm never in the room for these things, but it's basically an application process, and each party, because they are standing apart from the Lincolnshire Independents, they're a party of their own, but obviously a much localised one. People apply, and the people that are kind of in charge at the local level kind of wheedle them out, interview. I guess they interview each candidate, decide who's best to represent their party at a local level for a very important role.
Okay.
So I think Carl made it, to the last 3, and then eventually
I think it was fairly close.
It was fairly close, and then it ended up they chose Rob Waltham, who's currently leader of North Lincolnshire Council.
Right. Okay. So we have a mayor. Mm-hmm. We have these kind of. Can we just really quickly headline?
Really quickly. The other ones are. I'm going to read them out as they are written, just so I don't get anything wrong. Investing in to take advantage of our unique natural environment in a responsible way, while protecting our communities from climate change impact. So again, may see a little bit of tension between Reform policy and that.
Yeah.
This is a very exciting one and very, very business relevant. 8 is driving innovation, enterprise and adoption of new technologies. Very exciting things in robotics and things and and productivity happening here in Lincolnshire. We need to see that uplifted.
Nationally, and again, I said to headline them and I'm already going off and I'm ignoring my own instructions. Yeah. I think there's potentially some innovation funding coming out from central government to help push that. So I think it's something that over the next couple of years is going to be really hot. Something that small business owners, I think we're almost forced upon all the time is AI innovation technology, streamline business processes. So I think it'll be interesting to see how that then transforms, especially in relation to funding for small businesses in the area, but also potentially tying that into some training and upskilling as well. And just to see what does that put on the table for us? Will there be any cash that we could potentially grab to help us improve and compete with businesses not only around the county but across the country? So it'll be interesting.
That is really exciting. So, and we've also got an innovation commission that's been established for Lincolnshire as well now. So we're kind of slightly ahead of the curve of knowing that was a local priority anyway before all of this, but hopefully it means some more money could come that way. Number 9 is increasing employment opportunities through recruitment pathways and work-based training. So again, it all links into that kind of skills agenda as well. And 10 is creating a whole system approach to get more people into better paid work. So all this stuff is kind of, circulates around the same big themes, but they are big, important themes for a reason, because they're known needs and things we want to tackle.
Okay, so Andrew's in.
Yours?
What's happening now? So this is day 1.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure.
What happens? Go on, make it up.
Make it up as go along. Put my career on the line.
Put your career on the line as a spokesperson for the FSB.
Thanks. I'm going to play this safe. Yeah. So they will have an office at County Hall in Newlands. So they, we've already got the County Combined Authority that kind of got itself together as an entity, as a structure a couple of months ago. So there's officers ready in those roles. A lot of them have been carried over from the county councils. We've got very experienced people kind of already in post. Yeah. They will be able to kind of build their boards for health and business, which obviously I'm kind of like itching to get on as well, to making sure they've got the right people with the right expertise, the right knowledge and the right kind of agenda whispering in their ear, trying to get them to go make the right decisions. Yeah. All of that will kind of play out over the next couple of months, really. But like I say, it's day 1. Yeah. The count happened overnight in Grimsby. I'd say she's fast asleep by now, given that the vote was counted overnight. So it will all kind of like slowly emerge. But there's a set precedent for these things now, where there's been 10, 11 of these authorities set up already, so there'll be a process. I don't quite know what it is, but it will all emerge.
And any kind of guesses as to when, like the
money?
Yeah, not just the money, but like when will we on the ground start to notice that things are changing, because we now have the devolution process and a new mayor. So like, if, for instance, in terms of like funding for small businesses, when potentially would the effects of this?
I think that's many months away, because it has to be shaped first. The right influences need to be kind of cast, the decisions need to be made, the infrastructure for whatever that might look like needs to be set up. I think that's many months away, but it will come. I think there'll naturally be a few sort of quick wins that the authority and now the mayor will want to make to show, you voted for me, here's what I can do for you, and I want to do more of that. There'll undoubtedly be some quick wins, but I don't know what they might look like quite yet. Okay. I'll be as interested as anyone else.
Sure. I think, to be honest, that's a really natural, like, stepping away point. I think we've, covered quite a lot here. So understood, like, devolution, how did that happen? Where's it gone? We've looked at the mayor vote and, why should we kind of care? Understood that and what's happening now. And I think there are uncertainties. And I think there's, like you say, almost no point speculating right now as to what they might be, but let's try and hear it from the source and kind of see, with the benefit of a little bit of distance between now and whenever that might be, what is actually happening. Was it beneficial for Lincoln? And, we can always have a look back and see across the county
how it's played out.
How's it played out?
Yeah, so it's brand new. It's brand new to us. Other parts of the country have had mayoral authorities for a while. For us, it is brand new, and we've rather sent some shockwaves, I think, across the country that are probably being felt down in Westminster right now about the strength of voice and the strength that Reform UK have had overnight. It's certainly sent a message, and here in Lincolnshire, with them taking both the county council and the mayoral seat, it is a really strong message. But the people have voted. 104,000 of them voted for our new mayor, so hopefully they will be satisfied with who they've voted in, and we've absolutely chosen the right person. Time will tell, as with any election. Time will tell. We're 10 months after our general election, and there's certainly, I think, naturally a little bit of kickback against some of that and the previous 14-year administration that we had with Conservatives as well. So time will absolutely tell, as it always does, but we wish them the best of luck.
Yeah, I think really interesting and exciting time for Lincolnshire business in general. So thank you so much for coming on.
You're welcome.
And talking to me.
You're very welcome.
In this pilot. I really appreciate it. And I think there's almost no better person. Well, I could have asked. I'm going to say we, like there's a team. It's just me and these guys film me. Yeah. But no, thank you honestly so much. I think it's been really interesting. I've learned a lot and maybe stitched a few things together in my head. So
my work is done.
Really cool. We'll keep tabs on what's happening. And I guess I would encourage everyone else to have a look as well. Maybe give it a month.
Yeah. So you're a public servant. We need to hold them to account. So
for sure.
The best of luck, because their prosperity, their luck is our luck. They do well, we all do well. Yeah. Just got to make sure, it all stays on the right track.
Exactly.
And that local need doesn't get trumped by national policy.
Cool. Thank you so much. And Well, we'll see you soon. This has been the pilot. Obviously, we'll get this pilot out as soon as we can, so it's still relevant and well, timely. And yeah, what my kind of next steps for the podcast are, we produced a pilot. Now, I'm going to go and try and shake a few people's pockets and see if any money comes out to sponsor this. If not, I'll take my hands out my own pockets and I'll push it forward. But thanks a lot for joining us both in this first episode. Hope you've enjoyed it. Hope you've learned something. I'm sure if you've stayed until this point, you will have definitely learned something. So thanks to Katrina. Obviously, if people want to hear more from you, they can...
I'm inescapable, to be fair. So.
They can either turn on the radio or you can turn on the TV or you can open LinkedIn. So yeah, Katrina, thank you so much.
Welcome.
And everybody else, thanks for listening. See you soon. Thanks.